Hello, and thank you for joining us. Hi, everybody. My name is Linda, and I want to introduce you to someone very special. Her name is Eller, and she is running for Judge, District Court, Department 19. I want you to get to know her like I know her. She is a special lady, and I know she's going to do wonderful things in this department. I'm just going to start off just a couple questions. Hi, Crystal.
Hi, thank you. Thank you for introducing me. I appreciate that.
You are very welcome. Okay, so tell me a little bit about your background and where you grew up.
Okay, I grew up mostly in Cape Coral, Florida, which is on the West Coast, but I was born in Texas. My dad was in the Air Force, so we moved every year or two for the first 8 years of my life, and he retired after 20 years as a master sergeant. So once we retired, he moved down to Florida, took the whole family down there. I had one brother who's 14 months older than me, and then a 9-year-old older brother, 9 years older than me.
Okay.
And so that's mostly where I grew up from the time I was 8 years old until I graduated college. Really enjoyed growing up there. It was kind of a small city, and kind of left the house at 7 in the morning with no shoes on, and it's warm there, and I didn't come home till dark. It was a nice, safe community to grow up with. I spent a lot of time outside. We had water, we had beaches, we had a canal behind our house. We went fishing and stuff. So it was a great place to grow up.
Wow, sounds wonderful.
Yeah. It was good.
Yeah. As a child, did you have ambitions to run for an office one day?
Whew, definitely not. I was the youngest child, the only girl, and it seemed like the attention was on the boys, the baseball and the sports and everything, and I just really thought I was gonna maybe graduate high school and just get a regular whatever job or something like that. And the older I got, the more I realized that I was more capable than I thought I was. Mm-hmm. And so when my confidence in myself continued to grow, I started thinking bigger. Mm-hmm. And I remember being quite young, maybe 12, thinking, what do I want to be when I grow up? And it occurred to me that the people that are the most better off mm-hmm. Are the ones who know the rules, like when you're playing a game. Mm-hmm. And like you're playing Monopoly, the one who knows the rules the best and has them memorized, is usually the one who's in control of the game and who can stop anything from happening that's not supposed to happen, that, stop people from violating the rules, from cheating, that kind of thing. So I was like, wow, okay, now in the game of life, real life, who knows the rules? And I was like, well, the lawyers know the rules. They're the ones who nobody can mess with them and nobody can take advantage of them, and they can protect others mm-hmm. from being taken advantage of. So I started thinking about maybe someday I could be a lawyer. And like I said, initially I was like, oh, don't be silly, Crystal, you can't do that. But then my confidence continued to grow as I got older and had more life under my belt and did more things. And so eventually I said, I'm going to give this a try. And it obviously worked out.
Wow. That's fabulous. Did your mom and dad, was that a support for you?
Not really. My parents, neither one of them graduated high school, much less college. So when I did start trying to go to college, I started at community college. Actually, unfortunately, the state of Florida was 48th out of 50, 48th worst state for public education. I went to public school. Mm-hmm. And so after I graduated high school with decent grades, mm-hmm. I was below college level in both English and math. So the first thing I had to do at community college was take 2 remedial English classes that I had to take and pay for to bring me to college level, and 1 remedial math class. So I spent my first 2 semesters at community college finishing basically what should have been my high school education. Right. But again, didn't let that stop me. Was like, okay, I'll take the classes, I'll pay for them, and I'll move on. Mm-hmm. So then finished the 2 years at the community college with an associate's arts degree, mm-hmm. and then transferred to Florida State, where I got my bachelor's degree in criminology.
Wow, great job.
Yeah. So they just didn't know anything about college. They didn't know anything about the process. I remember when I took the ACT test, none of us even knew what it was. Like, my parents thought it was like another just achievement test or something, where they were where they test all the students and they find out where they stand, what levels they're at for their federal funding and that kind of thing. I had no idea that when I took that test it had anything to do with me getting into college. So yeah, it was a push through and learn everything the hard way, learn everything by trying and doing. So
Your family must be very proud of you.
yes, I definitely think they are. I think they were sort of at first not sure how this was all going to go, and even teased me a little bit about being a permanent college student. And I was like, what? So, but yeah, definitely very proud. My dad did pass in '94, but my mom lives out here in Las Vegas now, and you know, she's definitely proud of me.
Nice. What college did you attend?
So Edison Community College was where I started, and then transferred to Florida State for my bachelor's degree in criminology. So that was up in Tallahassee.
Okay. And when did you move here to Las Vegas?
So after graduating law school, after graduating college, I started law school I got a scholarship to a school in Miami, and then my husband and I got married. So after the first year there, I transferred because he lived in Chicago, Illinois. So after the first year, fortunately my grades were really good, so I transferred to John Marshall Law School in Chicago and completed my last 2 years there. So I graduated early. Law school usually takes 3 years. I got out in 2.5 years. And I then my husband got a job at the district attorney's office out here in Clark County, Nevada. So once I graduated, I didn't even take the bar in Illinois. We knew we wanted to move somewhere warm. So we were, toying with either Florida or Nevada, and he got the job at the DA's office out here. Was really looking forward to working. At the time, it was under Rex Bell. He was the district attorney at the time. And so we packed up the dogs and the cats and a car full of stuff, and out we came. And so that would have been June of '93, because I graduated in January of '93.
Okay.
So I've been here a long time.
Yes, you have. Well, now tell me a little bit about your family. I know you have a husband, and I know you have children. How are they supporting you and all of that? So I know there's 2 questions there. So
Right.
tell me about your family.
Okay, they've been great. Unfortunately, my husband that I did move out here with, we were married for almost 20 years, and then we split up. But we get along. It's amicable. It's all good. So I have my 2 children from him, and they both just went to school in Chicago. One of them just graduated law school, the other college. And so one's going to stay in Chicago, and she's going to practice law there, and the other one's moving to New York, like as we speak.
Wow.
So, and then I also got remarried again about 6.5 years ago, and I have a wonderful stepson, and he's 13.
Wow.
So the 3 of us are still, together in the home, and we're raising him, and he's just a great kid. So a lot of support from my husband, from all my kids. They've been great. Especially, my older kids, I run stuff by them. They help me with my work, especially my daughter that just graduated law school, so
Right.
I run stuff by her, and she's like, you should change this or change that. I'm like, okay.
Nice.
I trust their judgment.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
Oh, what a wonderful relationship that you're developing with them at this age.
Oh, absolutely. They've been great, and it's just amazing having kids and having, their love and their companionship, and every stage, I think when they're born, you're like, oh, this is the best. They're a newborn, and then when they're a toddler, and then when they're a preschooler, and it's still happening. Now they're 24 and 25 years old, and I'm like, well, this is the best stage, because now they're an adult, and
Right.
we can talk, and we can talk about adult things and subjects that are more complex, difficult, finances, legal stuff, whatever.
Yeah.
And it really is amazing. I mean, you're always still mom, but now they can be your friend too,
That's right. Equal.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Great job. Tell me, I know about your horses, and I know about, your home life and how you enjoy all of that, pigs, chickens, that sort of thing. But tell us a little bit about that.
Okay. Well, I've always been an animal person. I basically physically saw my first horse when I was about 11 years old and was just drawn to them. And so we, once we moved out here, my first husband and I, we moved out here. I passed the bar, got a job, then we had children, and the kids were young, they were small, it just was never the right time. So now that I'm remarried to my new husband and have an older, my children are gone, living their lives, and we have an older a child who's almost 14, we bought a 3.5 acre ranch property. And so I immediately started filling it up. So we have, let's see, 9 horses. One of them's a little mini horse. We have a miniature donkey, and we just had 2 baby horses in March. So they're just adorable, amazing. Something I've always wanted to do is, breed a horse and have babies, and they're wonderful. And we've got an alpaca, and then a year later we got another one, and now we just had a baby alpaca. He's 4 weeks old and so cute, so fun. We have the chickens. We get fresh eggs every morning. We have about 9 chickens and 4 dogs. And also, I love pigs. I just think they're amazing. They're, people don't realize they're highly intelligent, very clean, all that kind of stuff. And so I rescued some potbelly pigs. And so we have, one of them was pregnant, so I have one of the babies still, and I adopted the others out. So I have 2 pigs and 2 miniature goats, and they're really cute. They're called Nigerian dwarfs, and they're super fun to play with. So yeah, it's like a giant ranch / petting zoo at my house. So
Great.
Say this. Tell me about your routine.
Okay.
Every day when you wake up, because it's really interesting.
Okay. So tell me a little bit about the routine in the morning.
Oh. Say it one more time.
So tell me a little bit about the routine in the morning.
Oh my goodness. Okay. So, well, again, so thankful to have my stepson because he has some chores. So he feeds the dogs every morning and every night. And then we go out. I leave, especially when it's hot out during the summer, we leave some of the horses out in the arena to run around in the evening, all night long. So we bring the horses in, and then we feed them. We mix, grain and stuff for them with their vitamins. Then they get hay. And then we have to clean all the stalls. And the same thing, we go over, feed the goats and the pigs and the chickens and the alpacas, and we clean all their stalls. And then we fix whatever's broken for that day, whatever, like water pipe or pool pump or, every day it's something, it's so much to keep up, but it's so wholesome too. It's we get out there and we work together and we do all these things. And I do have a ranch hand that helps out for sure. I'm sure I could not do it without him. Like if we had to do all of that every day. And then if it's a weekday, I go in, take a shower, get ready for work, and go to court or whatever I have to do that day. So if it's an early court day and we have to do the feeding and cleaning, I'm out there like 4:30 in the morning.
Wow.
So, which is nice during the summer anyway, because it's not hot yet.
Right. Yeah.
So it's a lot of work, but worth every bit of it. And the childhood that my stepson is getting is priceless. He's just learning so many things of work ethic and the value of caring about something that depends on you and that, it gets hungry and feels pain, and how important it is to make sure that, you put them first and take care of their needs.
Nice.
So it's really good.
So tell me a little bit about Cowgirl Candidate. Tell me a little bit about where that came from.
Okay. Well, partly, of course, is the horses. I am actually a cowgirl, so it's not just some sort of a gimmick. It sets me apart because it talks about, it encompasses what I feel like I represent. There's this feeling or thoughts that go behind the good old days, or the days when you could do a handshake deal and people's word meant something, and when somebody said they were going to do something and they made a commitment, and that was it. And that's the way I have always lived my life. I say what I mean what I say, and I do what I say I'm going to do. So I felt like that era, and the mystique and everything that goes with the era of the cowboy and the Western, and, when people had to deal with each other on that kind of a basis, and they had to be able to trust each other, and they had to be able to believe that what you said is what you meant, and that you were going to do what you're supposed to do. It's a time of where people had, I think, a stronger integrity and a good moral compass, which is how I see myself. I understand that there's right and there's wrong, and there's black and white. I don't see everything as gray. I don't see everything as well. I can rationalize doing something that, I know in my heart is not right. So because I have those clear lines, because I have a moral compass and high integrity, I felt like the cowgirl candidate label, if you will, like really suited what I want the voters to know about me. And that, as judge, that's the way I'm going to run the courtroom. Everybody's going to be heard, litigants, the lawyers, everything's going to be taken into consideration. Everything's going to be read. I'm going to be prepared because I have a very good work ethic, working myself through school, through college, and everything the way I did. And that's not going to stop, and that's who I am.
So tell me why you wanted to run for judge.
Well, I was a judge it was called a commissioner, but I was the judicial position for the traffic commissioner for the city of Las Vegas for 2.5 years. And during that time frame, we saw as many as 150 cases a day. I did everything I could to be able to make sure the public could get in, could be heard, and not have to come back, not have to reschedule, that kind of thing. It was very considerate of the fact that, we are here as a court because you allegedly did something wrong, you speeding or whatever, but we are also, your government, and that, we basically work for the public and that we're here to serve. So during that time frame, I had many people, attorneys and also defendants that were in the courtroom, commenting that I was such a good judge and they had a very good experience, although nobody wants to come to court, that I had actually made it a fair experience. They felt like they were treated fairly. They felt like they were heard. And many people, like I said, just regular people that came in for tickets, as well as many, many attorneys, kept saying you should run for a higher office of judge, and hear more cases and hear more serious cases, because we really need somebody like you in there. So that was really what planted the seed. And I'm also a mediator for the Nevada Foreclosure Mediation Program. And I've been a lay counselor at my church. And I just have what it takes to be a good judge. I have the work ethic. I have the patience, for the proper courtroom decorum. And I have, the ability to really focus and have empathy on the people in the courtroom, both the people that are there as litigants, as part of the case, whether it's a civil case or a criminal case, and for the attorneys. I'm conscious of the time that it takes to be there, and that people want to get things done, and that I need to work hard to make sure I can do everything I can to move that along, but do so fairly. And at the same time, taking the time that needs to be taken with each individual case, not rushing everybody through. So once people started telling me you really should be a judge in a higher office, I started thinking about it. And I've had my law practice, or I've been practicing law in Clark County for 27 years now. I've had my law practice for over 15 years, and I feel like I have the experience now. I'm 10 years ago, which is when I was the traffic commissioner, I was, thinking maybe I need a little bit more experience under my belt. So now 10 more years has gone by, and I've done complex civil litigation. I've done, trials. I've done a lot of things I hadn't done by that time. So now only I feel like I have that last piece, where now I have the experience that I needed, in addition to the work ethic and the empathy and what it takes to actually be a good judge. So I think I have all the pieces now, and I think the time is right.
And so the good question, or a big question here, is why Department 19?
Okay, Department 19 has a terrible judge in there right now, and does not have the disposition to be a judge. Simple as that. That's just one of the things that's wrong. He's inappropriate with defendants, with counsel. He's been reprimanded by the Supreme Court. Again, just May 22nd, the Supreme Court overturned a sentencing that he did because the defendant yelled at him, and then he changed the defendant's sentence to make it a harsher sentence. That is completely inappropriate. Judges have to be unbiased. Well, obviously, if you're changing the person's sentence because they yelled at you, you're not being unbiased. So he violated at least 2 judicial canons of ethics. He's been sanctioned in the past by the Judicial Ethics Committee for violations. As a prosecutor, he put an innocent man in prison for over 20 years, and he had the evidence in his file that he was innocent, that the man was 650 miles away when the crime happened. And the biggest problem is, if you believe in the prosecution, fine, if you still think he did it. But prosecutors are ethically required by the rules to turn over evidence that's helpful to the defense attorney. And he didn't turn it over. He hid it in the file and got a conviction. And over 20 years later, Judge Kadish made a finding that this man was innocent. And he's got another case where he prosecuted a woman who got out of prison after 16 years who was innocent. And numerous cases of just prosecutorial misconduct where the person wasn't later found innocent, but either all or a portion of the decision was overturned because of the way he behaved as a prosecutor in the courtroom. And this has been going on, for over 20 years since he started his career as a prosecutor. And the last time he got in trouble with the Judicial Ethics Committee, he said, you guys will not see me here again. I made a mistake and you're not going to see me here again. And here we are again. Now we're back again, and he's being unprofessional again. He doesn't learn. I don't know if he cares or not. I'm not him. But he certainly doesn't want to improve or change what he's been doing, and what he's doing is wrong. It's inappropriate the way he acts in the courtroom. It's inappropriate the way he treats the litigants as well as the attorneys on a regular basis. And he has decisions after decision that's getting overturned by the Supreme Court because of it. Unfortunately, Fred Steese, who's the man that spent over 20 years in prison, not only did we spend millions of dollars housing him in prison when he wasn't supposed to be there, we're now the state of Nevada, our taxpayers are going to have to pay him $2.2 million in reparations. So this one decision to prosecute an innocent man and send him to prison, even if it doesn't pull at your heartstrings that this man who did not do anything wrong was in prison for 20 years, he's costing the taxpayers over $5 million and has no remorse when he's questioned about it. So that, among other things, is the reason I picked Department 19. Judge Kephart needs to not be a judge anymore. That department and the citizens of Clark County deserve a judge in that department that is going to do the things I'm going to do. So I chose Department 19 because the citizens of Clark County deserve a judge in there that's going to do what they're supposed to do, that's going to be impartial, that's going to be unbiased, that's going to have the proper temperament, that's going to care about the litigants and the attorneys and everyone that comes into that courtroom. So I wanted to run for judge because I know I will be an excellent judge. And I specifically chose Department 19 because that person should not be a judge anymore. And it just based on the facts of his behavior, So that's why.
Okay. And tell me how you're going to be different.
Well, as I mentioned, I obviously am going to have the proper disposition. I'm not going to be yelling at defendants. I'm not going to be yelling at attorneys. I'm going to listen to what is said. I'm going to make sure, that I work really hard. I don't care how long it takes, how late I have to stay after hours. I'm going to make sure I read all the briefs. I'm going to make sure that everything that's in front of me is well researched and that my decisions are fair and based on the things they're supposed to be based on admissible evidence, based on a proper reading of the law instead of based on emotion, which is a lot of his decisions seem to be based on the way he behaves, based on his own personal beliefs and his emotions rather than the law and the admissible facts.
Okay. I appreciate that. I do. Thank you for that.
Yep. Looking forward to it.
Yes, I'm looking forward to that as well. I just have a couple questions. I know that, we've been going through this strange, challenging times with the COVID. Tell me a little bit about what's happening in the court now, the current changes that are happening. What can you tell me?
Well, it's been very difficult. It's been very trying, and my heart goes out to everybody who has to work at the court. The clerks, the judges, just everyone that's there. The marshals. They still are coming to work for the most part. I know a lot of the clerks are doing a lot of work from home, but we have many of the criminal courtrooms are having to be open. especially in justice court in particular. So to the best of their ability, like defendants in criminal cases that are in the jail, they're doing by video. They're not busing them in. And in the civil cases, initially a lot of stuff got postponed, and now they're hearing them via video or telephone. It's kind of like everything's gotten straightened out, and everybody's figuring out how to use. There's a system called Blue Jeans. There's several different audio-visual ways the judges are using to see people. So we're starting to have our hearings again, but they are over audio-visual as much as possible. And the criminal cases where the defendants do have to be there, they're taking steps to make precautions. They're allowing us to enter like written entries of plea instead of having the defendant there, those kinds of things. So, I mean, I really have to hand it to the court. All of them, justice court, the municipal courts, district court, where I'm running, is they've done an incredible job, in my opinion, in a short time, protecting the public, protecting the employees that have to be at the courthouse, and I've been really impressed.
So the changes that you're seeing, would you like to see them stay? I mean, when things get quote unquote back to normal, would you like to see them stay the way they are, or are you liking those changes?
Well, I think that a lot of the stuff that's being done on video, I believe some of the changes are going to stay. I believe that we do things the way we do them because that's the way we've always done them. And sometimes something like this forces a change. And then you realize, well, some of this change is for the better anyway. So I think a lot of minor hearings that the judges are going to stay open to the option of calling in and having the attorneys argue either video or audio over the phone. Now, that was available before, but you had to get special permission, and it was kind of discouraged. I think it's going to be more readily available, and I think the judges, now that they've had to do it, will see that it works and it's okay. So I think it'll make all of us much more efficient, to be able to call into a hearing instead of have to drive downtown and park and go in the courthouse. Now, that having been said, there are evidentiary hearings and hearings that are on motions that we call are dispositive, meaning that they could resolve the whole case. I don't know if this is true or not, but I read somewhere that like 80% of communication is nonverbal, is like body language and eye contact and stuff. So because of that, larger hearings, obviously trials, any evidentiary hearings, anything like that, I think it's critical that we can have those in person as soon as we're able to do that, as soon as it's safe. Because that is, just there's too much to it. It's too complicated. So, but I think it's going to be a hybrid. That's my prediction. I think once it's safe again and everybody's able to, like you said, go back to normal, whatever that's going to look like, the new normal, I think it is going to be a hybrid. I think that we're going to use video and audio more than we did before, but we're definitely still going to have the majority, especially of the larger or more important hearings, are definitely still going to be in person.
Great. Okay, I have a question about your nonprofit corporation. I know you have one. Can you
Okay.
tell me a little bit about that?
Yes, that's Justice Ranch, and I set it up and designed it to help veterans and the financially underprivileged and, pretty much anybody, but especially those two groups, to come and be able to visit with the horses, spend time with the horses and the other animals on the ranch. There's just something about, especially the horses, the study after study has shown it, equine assisted psychotherapy is exploding. It's just taken off as one of the best and most effective therapies, especially for veterans, especially for PTSD, and also victims of domestic violence do really well with it. That kind of trauma does really, really well with the horse therapy. So initially I had a therapist that I was working with. It was a licensed therapist, and we were doing the equine assisted psychotherapy, but he moved away, and I've been very busy with the law firm and now running for judge. So I haven't worked on hiring or getting a new therapist, but what I do now is just sort of more like life coaching, if you wanted to call it that. So I still have people come out. It's on an appointment basis. There's no hours of operation or anything like that. I give everybody my phone number, and I'm like, if you want to come out, just give me a call or send me a text. We'll set it up. And I do some riding, but mostly it's all groundwork. The veterans come out and they spend time with the horses, they work with them, they groom them. And, everybody I've ever had out, just by the time they leave, they're taking that deep breath and they're just saying, I feel so refreshed. I feel so rejuvenated. I feel so relaxed, which is especially important for the people with anxiety and PTSD type disorders.
Right.
So I am looking forward to getting it up and running, starting to market it, getting more access, because the only reason I don't have more people is because more people don't know about it.
Sure.
So,
Sure.
But we are always available, and my cell phone's always available. It's 702-245-6333 if anybody wants to call and or text me and make an appointment to come out and visit with the animals.
Okay. Tell me a little bit about how you rest.
What's that word again?
R-E-S-T.
Probably mostly with the horses, because I think they do for me what they do for, the veterans. They do rejuvenate me. So luckily we were able to just, in the last couple of months, we put our lights up in our arena. So when it's warm out or when it's hot out in the middle of the summer like it is now, I come home from work and I can ride at night. So I'm doing a lot of working with horses and riding at night. Mm-hmm. And of course, spending time with my stepson. And I just went and saw both my kids in Chicago. So getting out of town and going to see them is good. But probably my daily rest time is just spent with my family. We don't, especially with COVID, we don't have to leave the ranch to have plenty of work to do and plenty of entertainment. And we choose not to, even if we can, because it's just paradise there. It really is.
Well, I definitely have been there, and it absolutely is paradise.
Yes, we got to get you back out there.
I would love that. So tell me a little bit about the fundraiser.
Oh, great. Okay. So unfortunately, running for office takes a lot of money, and I need the support of everyone out there who wants a good judge in Department 19. So we have to have a fundraiser, which I'm actually looking forward to. It's going to be great. Often fundraisers are just kind of something people feel like, oh, I got to go. It's, an obligation because I'm going to support this person. However, this one is going to be super fun. So it's at my ranch. And it's family friendly, so we're encouraging people to bring their kids, and we'll have, food available for them to feed the animals and pet the animals. They'll be able to see the baby horses, the baby alpaca, and we're going to have food. I think we're working on getting a food truck, Mexican food, like a taco truck, they call it, and drinks and live entertainment. It's going to be very fun, and we just booked some show cars that are going to be there that are amazing, and so I can't wait to let everyone see those. So it's going to be a blast, and it's Tuesday, July 21st, at starting at 6:30 and going till about 8. And if people want to linger, they're welcome to linger because we have our lights. Although this is a live in-person event, I want to reassure everyone who's wants to attend, who's been invited, and that we are taking precautions. We are following the governor's mandate. We will have fresh masks there available for everyone. We will have hand sanitizer stations all around the ranch. And we've decided to do it here because the ranch is really fun, but also because it's 3.5 acres to allow for acceptable social distancing. We have 2 separate entries to the ranch, like 1.5 acres here, 1.5 acres there. So if more people come than expected, we can open the second entrance and we can keep the 2 groups separated. So we will not have, more than 50 people an acre from each, less than an acre from each other. And like I said, there's going to be hand washing stations, there's going to be sanitizers, there's going to be masks, there's going to be plenty of room for social distancing. So I want to encourage anyone who's thinking about coming, not to worry. We are following, what the governor has told us to do, and we will make sure that all precautions are taken.
Great. Thank you for that. And tell me a little bit about the commercial.
Oh, that commercial was so fun. We picked, I think it was a Sunday morning early and went out to the downtown area of downtown Las Vegas near the courthouse. And that horse that I rode was actually my husband's horse. He's 8 years old, a Rocky Mountain horse. That's his breed. And he's just really well behaved. He does great in traffic and, on concrete and stuff. So that's the one we decided to use. And we pulled up. We brought him out of the trailer, saddled him up real quick, got on, and Art, my cameraman, was able to film the commercial with his handheld camera. And we filmed several shots. The horse was great. And everybody did what they needed to do, and we got it done, and back into the trailer, and off we went. I think we were there for like a half an hour. It was really, really fun. It was really fun to ride the horse downtown, too. It's like one of those things you always kind of dream about. If you're a horse person, you're like, it would be so cool to ride my horse down here by the courthouse. And I got to do that. So that was awesome. And then they, of course, edited the commercial. And I love it. I absolutely love it. I think it's gotten like over 30,000 views. And if you guys haven't seen it yet, please watch it. You'll get a kick out of it. It's awesome.
Everyone is tired of the incompetency and inappropriate behavior of the current judge in District Court Department 19. My name is Crystal Eller. I am your Cowgirl candidate, and with your support, I look forward to being your next judge in Department 19 District Court.
I know you have a ticket lady in your office, and so tell me a little bit about that.
Oh, that's great. So Ticket Lady was an idea I came up with when I first restarted my law office in 2004. And I wanted to do something that I could kind of do part-time. Practicing law is generally not a part-time kind of a job. So, because my kids were still in school, they were still in elementary school, and I wanted to make sure I was available. So I had from like 8 in the morning till 3 in the afternoon. And so I started doing traffic tickets and learned, well, first I thought it was going to be easy. And then it turned out that there's so many courts. There's, Las Vegas Municipal, Las Vegas Justice, North Las Vegas, Henderson, Boulder City, it's crazy. So I learned as I went, but I got very proficient at it. And I wasn't sure what to call it, and I just came up with this idea, Ticket Lady. And I worked with some graphics people, and they actually took a photo of me and then used some software to like morph it into a cartoon. And this is so long ago, I was advertising in the Yellow Pages, if anybody remembers the Yellow Pages. So we put an ad in the phone book, and then as technology changed, now we have a website and everything. So the interesting thing was this character, Ticket Lady, she sort of developed a life of her own. And people would call the office, and it was not even like they were looking for an attorney. They were looking for the ticket lady, her. And it was funny sometimes when people would come in, they'd be like, oh my gosh, that is you, because they could tell the resemblance. But anyway, so it has evolved into a really, really good service for the community. Yes, of course we charge, but there are so many people out there that have traffic tickets that they just forgot to pay, all kinds of things where they just really need some help. And then there's just your basic ticket that, yes, you could go to court and take care of it yourself, but you don't have time or you don't want to, that kind of thing. So I have two kinds of clients. Ones that, have, for one reason or another, really gotten themselves in a mess. Sometimes there's multiple tickets in multiple courts. They went through a hard time, couldn't afford registration, got pulled over several times, and I'm able to unravel all of that, get them straightened out, get them on a payment plan, that kind of thing. And so a few years ago, I hired a woman named Linda, and she is the face of Ticket Lady, and she takes care of the clients, and I get praises and praises about her, how wonderful she is, because she reflects what the whole office feels, which is how much we care about our clients, even on a simple thing like a traffic ticket. So, and of course that Linda is you. So I want to thank you for doing such a great job, taking such good care of our clients. And if they call and I answer the phone and I say, well, it's Crystal, Linda's, not available right now, I'm the attorney, and they're like, well, I want to talk to Linda. That's what a great job she's doing. She
Oh.
takes good care of everyone.
Well, thank you. Thank you for that. And here's a big kiss. Okay, so I want to kind of turn the tide to the foreclosure, the homeowners foreclosure situation. Tell me a little bit about that.
Okay, so after I was the traffic commissioner for 2.5 years, I resigned and reopened my firm in 2010. Of course, doing traffic tickets again, and an area of law was emerging because the initial real estate crisis, really crashed in 2008. So in my courtroom as the traffic commissioner, I saw the devastation day after day of people coming in warrant or whatever because they couldn't even pay their house payment, much less their traffic tickets. And then when I reopened my firm, I started learning about the Nevada foreclosure mediation program, and that was a law that was put into place to try to help homeowners who were being foreclosed on, and wrongly foreclosed on in many cases, by the banks, because it was a whirlwind. Nobody really knew what was going on, and the banks certainly didn't, one hand didn't know what the other was doing. I eventually had clients that they were being told that a loan modification was being overnighted to them, and they would say, well, what about my house is set for sale tomorrow? And they'd say, oh, don't worry about that. And then the house would sell. So the more I heard about that, the more I wanted to learn about it. I learned about the foreclosure mediation program. I actually took the training and became a mediator for the foreclosure mediation program, and I've been doing that since 2010. It's a Supreme Court appointment. And I started representing homeowners. And actually, initially, I represented lenders for a short time, and I was overwhelmed by the callousness and the lack of concern at that time. And I know the lenders have gotten a lot better since then. But at that time, how awful the homeowners were treated. So I started representing homeowners, and I did that for the majority of the time all the way up until now. And it's been so rewarding. I've got, crayon pictures colored by children in my office that are saying, thank you for saving my home. And the stress that's in the home that's going on when they're, losing their home. I have some clients that it took us 10 years of diligently trying to get a loan modification because the banks were so disorganized, frankly, incompetent and uncaring. And so I've got a few of those cases. And in every one of them, we ultimately ended up getting a loan modification. And what really struck me as so unfair is the way the lenders were treating my client like some kind of deadbeat that's living in the house for free when we've been submitting loan documents to get a loan modification for 10 years. So it's one of my favorite things I've done in my life is help these people to be able to save their homes, especially ones that were truly victims of this refinance nonsense that was going on in 2005, 6, and 7. People that were perfectly happy making their payments, that had equity in their homes, many of them elderly, many of them English was their second language, that were fine. They were sitting there with equity in their homes, they were making their payments, and these greedy loan officers, lenders, banking institutions, fly-by-night lenders that are all gone now and never suffered any consequences for it, we're literally knocking on their doors going, hey, let me give you a check for $100,000. Just sign these papers. I know personal stories of where people were encouraged to forge pay stubs, to forge tax returns in order to get these loans that they never, from day one, ever were going to be able to pay back. But at least, hey, they had the equity, right? Well, not after 2008. So it's been very rewarding, to help these people, and I'll continue to do so right up until I'm elected.
Now, are you seeing, because of this COVID, we're going in that direction again?
I'm not seeing it yet, but I'm sure it's going to happen. I'm not seeing it yet because the government has been doing, just generally state and federal, in my opinion, doing a pretty good job at, doing the stimulus, the extra $600 a week in unemployment, that's keeping people going. And then also, of course, the freeze on the lenders and I'm not allowing them to foreclose. And then the landlords, not allowing them to evict. So I know that's hard. When they first said the landlords can evict, well, landlords still have mortgage payments. So that wasn't fair to them, but now they're putting the mortgage on hold. And eventually everybody is going to have to pay all that back. So what worries me is, what is that going to look like? Okay, so things are getting back to normal, our new normal. And, is the bank just going to be able to go, okay, you're 4 months behind, pay it all at once, or we're going to foreclose anyway, So the government is going to have to make sure that they're staying involved in that, and that there's some kind of mandated repayment program that works with the homeowners to be able to get that caught up in a reasonable way. As long as that happens, I think we're going to be okay. But if everybody's like, okay, we're back to normal, everybody can just do whatever they're going to do, I'm going to, definitely, I think we're going to be seeing foreclosures and just an incredible amount of evictions. We're going to have the homeless problem is going to be even worse. So I'm hoping that everybody, keeps their moral foundation and continues to empathize about their fellow citizens, and is able, landlords have a choice even if the law doesn't make them. And the banks, the lenders have a choice even if the law doesn't make them, to do modification type situations where they allow a repayment of the 4 or 5 months of late payments over time. So they're capable of doing that. That's private contracting, and anybody's allowed to do it, and they don't have to be told to do it. So I'm hoping that that's the way it's going to go. And all of this gives me, again, a really well-rounded background to be the judge in District Court Department 19, because not only do I have extensive criminal experience as a criminal defense attorney, I also have this extensive civil experience, not only in the foreclosure realm, but also construction litigation, construction defect litigation, and contracts and stuff like that. It's just, like I said, I put that extra 10 years in on top of what I already had, and I feel like I'm extremely qualified.
Great. Well, this has been a pleasure. Thank you so much for your time and allowing me to kind of go into your life and ask these good questions so that everyone knows who you are. So thank you for your time.
Thank you. Thank you
Yes.
for introducing me to everyone. And again, I want to remind everyone about the fundraiser, July 21st at 5300 Solar Avenue, Las Vegas, Nevada, 89131. And it starts at 6:30, goes till about 8 or so. And I really look forward to seeing everyone there. I do need your help. In order to beat the incumbent, I'm going to have to do television commercials. I'm going to have to do billboard advertising. I'm going to have more signs. And that takes a lot of money. But the citizens of Clark County deserve better. And I appreciate everyone who's willing to step up and help make that happen.
Okay. Thank you so much.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Mhm.